Hello everyone, welcome back to the kitchen. It is late, it is 9:15 on Monday night, and it's taken me ages to get ready to make this video because every 10 minutes or so I have to go and sit in front of the fan to cool down. It's not so much the temperature, but it is extremely high humidity, so it's just ghastly. Oh, it's horrible. It's boiling. Anyway, let me not bore you with the weather. You don't really need to hear that, especially if you're feeling freezing cold and it's been snowing and you've got ice and all that stuff to contend with. We've just got a lot of dust from dust storms, and the fires seem to have abated a bit. Now the sadness is here because of all the destruction and the loss of lives, especially the 3 American firefighters who were killed when their plane, one of the water bombing planes they call them, and they put like pink or red colour into the water so they can see where they've dropped the water onto, see which areas have been already drenched. Anyway, it was one of those planes that drops that kind of water that crashed and killed them. I think their families have come out here to Australia now to repatriate their bodies, which the government is doing for them. So, I think the fires have abated a bit. I certainly haven't smelt smoke for a few days, which really could just be the wind direction, couldn't it? But haven't heard as much about the fires at the moment. But now it's just all the disaster that's everywhere. People who've lost their lives, houses, livelihoods, all the poor animals, all the poor trees and the shrubs and everything. Anyway, why did I get onto that? Oh, I don't know. Talking about snow and ice, that's right. So I had to be dramatic and talk about the opposite, which has been really bad this year. So anyway, let me get on to the subject of the day before I talk your ears off, which I do tend to do, don't I? So the subject of the day is this little girl, Lottie, in another romper. I think this is romper review number 8. And because it's been so warm and sticky, I've dressed her in this little light romper, which is just so sweet. It's cotton, just a white cotton, and then it's got the outline of little crowns all over it in kind of a silvery grey colour, and then every now and again I think there's like an orange or golden crown, which is why I've put her in her gold shoes and the gold head bow. I think she looks really cute. There's also a big self-tied bow across the front, which you can't see, but I've got her positioned so sweetly I don't really want to move her. Oh great, now there's a battery light. You never know what's going to happen, do you? I talked to my son-in-law about this crazy camera, because remember I said to you every time I turn it on it's reset something, and I just sort of put the numbers to, just guesswork, because they mean nothing to me. I just put them onto what looked a bit familiar, I thought looked familiar. Anyway, he checked it, he said there is a problem with the camera, it must be dying because nothing makes it change settings for no reason when it's put away in its box. Anyway, I did buy a new SD card in case that was the problem, but it wasn't. But anyway, we're working on a new SD card, and now we're working on a low battery. That's so annoying. Anyway, let me tell you about her romper. Her romper is by Absorba, and it's got those lovely little frill sleeves, angel wing sleeves or butterfly sleeves. And it's just buttons down the back with actual buttons, a little bit tricky with one hand, but she's buttoned up. And then poppers, to change her nappy. And then her little shoes are the ones that you have seen before. They're by Tiptoey Joey, which is a sort of a company that collaborates between Brazil and Australia. They're sold from Australia, but I think they're made in Brazil because they're made by a family company, and either the husband or the wife is Brazilian and the other one is Australian. Excuse me. Don't know why my throat has to do that late at night. I haven't got the excuse that I haven't used my voice today as I would have in the morning, but I certainly have talked today. Yeah, so they're her shoes. They're little golden Mary Janes with big double bows on the front, made out of the same golden leather. So they're actual leather shoes. They're very soft, and you wouldn't believe it, they're a size 14. In fact, they're the only, so far, the only shoes in leather that I've found that are that small. Most of them are 0 to 3 months, or even 0 to 6 months, which drives me nuts, because what baby's foot is the same size when it's born as when it's 6 months old. Anyway, and they certainly don't fit Lottie. Or the twins, of course. These size 14s fit the twins with a bit of room in the front, but on Lottie they're just exactly right. There's a bit of room at the front, but not much. That shows you how out of proportion her feet are, but so is her head, really. That's just the way these sculpts are done, isn't it? Just because they look right to our eye, if they were like a real baby, they might look out of proportion, although I'm sure we'd get used to bigger heads and bigger hands and feet. But anyway, no matter, these shoes are size 14s and they fit beautifully. And I have this golden head bow on her head because it's gold and it's matched the shoes, and so, you know, what self-respecting girl would come out without matching her shoes with her head bow? So there you are, there's my little girl. Well dressed today for the weather, although the shoes of course wouldn't be there if she was a real baby, but you know, we get to have that bit of poetic license and dress them how we want. So let me tell you my big news. I heard on, it was probably Friday, from the artist who's painting that doll for me that isn't a reborn, so don't get too excited, it's not a reborn. It is a vinyl doll. That the doll was almost finished and she sent me a photograph for my approval. And it had a wig on that I didn't like, so, and I thought I would like it, but it wasn't dark enough, so she went through, the artist showed me a few different wigs on the doll, and then the fourth one was exactly the one I wanted, so I was so happy. So she's finished. I think the artist was going to make some underwear for her because she only comes in underwear. And then it's going to, because we've had a long weekend this weekend. Sunday was Australia Day, and then today, Monday, was a public holiday because Australia Day fell on a Sunday, so we were granted another day off, which was very nice. So we've had a 3-day weekend, very busy but lovely, hot, sticky, gooey, but anyway, very nice weekend. And so my doll, I guess she'll be able to post it tomorrow. I hope so. Tomorrow is Tuesday. So I may have it by the weekend. May have it by Friday. It's coming up from Melbourne and I'm in Sydney, which really is just like it's probably about I'd say a 13-hour drive, or even less than that. It might be less. So, you know, I should imagine, and the flight in a plane is only an hour and a half, so it could easily get to me, but you know what the post is like these days. They don't really hurry with anything. So I'm hoping by the end of the week I'll have her. But anyway, whenever I get her, don't you worry, I'll show her. I'll open her on video so you can watch with me, because I'm so excited. Oh my goodness. I have amassed a few little dresses, not many, but I'll be getting more, and some shoes, a few pairs of shoes, because a girl's got to have the right colour shoes. So, very, very excited to get her. So that's really my big news. I do have some other news, but I just don't know if this battery's going to hold out for me, and I would go nuts if it didn't. So I might stop here. Shall I? Oh, will I risk it? Oh, good heavens. I'll just quickly risk it. I'll tell you that I had to nip out this morning down to the shopping centre because I have had some little kind of newspaper clippings that I wanted to get mounted, and I'll show them to you now so that you can see what I'm talking about, and then I'll explain what they are. I'll just put them in front of Lottie. Sorry, my darling. Sorry, Lottie. There they are. Can you see that? I know there's a bit of glare. I'm sorry about that. So it's just 3 newspaper cuttings, and they're of Lilli in a German newspaper called the Bild. So she's called Bild Lilli, and there they are. And the writing's in German, which unfortunately I can't read. So that's what I had to go and get mounted, just those 3 little, they're just clippings from German newspapers from the 1950s. And I've been collecting them over the years. And the reason I wanted to get them mounted was because on Saturday at the Doll Club meeting, we are having a competition. There are 3 categories. I'm not entering 2 of them because I don't have anything that's relevant. I think it's to do with superheroes and heroes and things. But this category that I'm entering is something from either a cartoon or a comic strip. So guess what I've got? I have got this doll that I'd love to show you. Let me see if I can get her position right, because everything's a bit tricky with one hand, isn't it? Well, you wouldn't know, but trust me it is. So here is a Bild Lilli doll, and I'll tell you about her while I hold. Can you see her? There she is. Isn't she just stunning? She's only 7.5 inches. And she is... I might have to put it down so I can concentrate while I talk to you. I'll just quickly tell you about her. Let me quickly tell you about her. So she is like a sort of a hard plastic doll, but she's solid. She's not hollow, and she's got that beautiful hairdo, which is her signature thing, and she's very elegant. Anyway, she was created in the late 1940s, early 1950s, because the newspaper called the Bild, which was B-I-L-D it's spelled, which was just a tabloid newspaper, so, just a bit of nonsense kind of newspaper, had like a little section that needed filling, and the editor asked the cartoonist if he could just make up a little cartoon to fill that spot, and he did. And it was about a girl called Lily who was a secretary, but she was very feisty and out there and a bit raunchy and risque, so she was a bit of a devil. And she used to know how to get her way with things. She could, con people or trick or maybe manipulate, but all those words are a bit strong. But she certainly knew how to make her way in the world. And so from then she became, that little comic strip became very popular in the paper. And so a sort of a series developed around this Lily, and it's spelled L-I-L-L-I. And so she's called Bild Lilli. And she, in about, now what was the date? About 1953, I think she was so popular that the newspaper decided that they would produce a doll, like a 3D doll. And it was a doll that was really for adults. It was really for men, mostly for men, because she's pretty saucy. Let me show you again. And she used to be sold in like tobacconists and I don't know what other kind of shops. And she was like a party favour at Bucks nights and things like that. So there she is again. Stunning girl. Anyway, so this doll was created, and did I already say that they come in 2 sizes? This is the small size, the 7.5 inch, and the big size is 11.5 inch. They're very, very expensive dolls now, as you can imagine. But the thing about them is that this is what Barbie came from. Barbie was created from Bild Lilli, because what happened was Ruth, what was her name? Handler, I think her name was Ruth Handler, and her husband were executives in Mattel, and they travelled to Germany to have a look at what toys were being created. And Ruth was very forward-thinking and wanted to expand what Mattel was producing, because at the time they were sort of producing a lot of things for boys, like trucks and things like that, and she wanted to go more into dolls. So she saw this Bild Lilli and bought a few of them, took them back home to her daughter, who fell in love with them because there were lots of outfits for these dolls. I've got one set. They're quite hard, very hard to get the originals. What she's wearing, this 2-piece set, is her original. I'll just show you again. This is what she was sold in. And I've got like a little 2-piece like summer nightie set, bloomers and a little top. And that tie on her hair, on her ponytail, is original as well. She's all original. Got little high-heel black shoes. She's a very elegant girl. So anyway, Ruth took this doll home for her daughter, who happened to be called Barbara, which is why the name Barbie came into being. They bought the rights, Mattel bought the rights from the German manufacturer for this doll and created the Barbie doll. The main change they made with the original one was to make her vinyl much lighter, and also, there we are, new batteries in, excuse me, and of course the camera reset everything, so I just had to do it again. It's crazy. I think it is definitely in its dying stages, but while it's working, let's keep going. So I don't know exactly where it cut me off, so I'm really sorry if I repeat myself, but I think I was just saying that Bild Lilli, a few Bild Lilli dolls were bought by Ruth Handler, who with her husband were amongst the people who were running Mattel. And she took her dolls that she bought, I think they put 2 or 3, back to her daughter, who was called Barbara. And her daughter loved them. There were spare clothes and things that she could dress the doll up with, and it was, it was sort of the first doll that didn't look like a formal kind of adult, like the old antique dolls did. Even though they were children, a lot of them had sort of those serious adult kind of faces. And it wasn't a baby doll. It was a doll that was like a teenager. Well, like a grown-up sort of teenager, I think you might say. But anyway, so her daughter Barbara absolutely loved this doll, and so Ruth said to her husband, I think we should do something with this. This is going to make a lot of money. And at first he didn't agree, because he liked, and he found that their company was making a lot of money from boys' type of toys and metal things like little stoves for girls, and like when I said boys' toys, I think I said earlier like trucks and cars and things like that, cranes and goodness knows what. But she convinced him in the end that this doll would be worth investing in. So what they did was that they bought the rights from the German company who was manufacturing the Bild Lilli, and they manufactured their own version, which became known as Barbie, named after their daughter Barbara. So that's how Barbie started, and that was in about, was that 1959 or something? I should have checked my facts, I'm sorry, but around that time. And so that was basically the end of Bild Lilli, because they weren't allowed to be produced in Germany anymore. There was a cheaper version that the same company produced in Hong Kong, but it wasn't a solid plastic, it was hollow, and it wasn't anywhere near the quality, and it wasn't the same. So it was kind of the death of the Bild Lilli and the birth of Barbie. Really, initially, the only changes that Mattel made to the Bild Lilli with Barbie was that they lightened her skin tone, and they changed the hairstyle just slightly, so she didn't have that little curl at the front. She had a bunch of sort of tight curls at the front. So that's about the end of that story about my Bild Lilli and me taking her to the club. I'll show you her once more, but also I'll put some pictures at the very end of this video, so if you want to see some up-close pictures of her. Let me see what I can manage this time. See what the camera will let us do. There we go. That curl is meant to be there. That is like classic Bild Lilli curl. Don't know if you can see, but there's a very, very faint, you can see a tiny bit, I think, a line where the top of her bikini is held up with tiny, tiny thin, like nylon thread. Now, I don't know if it is actually nylon thread. It's in a V shape and attaches to the middle of the bikini. I don't think you can see that. Anyway, there's her gorgeous face and her gorgeous face painting. But I'll take a better picture because the camera is unhappy at the moment. So I'll get it. It's trying, the poor thing. Anyway, I will say goodbye to you all for now, and I hope you've enjoyed this look at Bild Lilli, and I'll tell you if she was popular or not on Saturday. So I'll show you again this picture as well, of these 3 cartoons of her, or whatever you would call them. See that you can see my light now. That's the shape of it. Let me see if I can get that there. I'll also try and get a good picture of this. I don't know if I'll be able to, but I'll give it a go. So there's 3 sort of 3 cartoons of her, comic strips, I guess you might call them. So there were lots and lots of her, and but these are 3 that I've got, that I've collected over time. So there we are, everybody. There's my darling Lottie. How about I just spread her out a bit so you can see her romper a bit better? Seeing as that's sort of the purpose of this video, isn't it? There we go. I think you can see it a bit better now. Excuse me, this voice. Goodness me. There, yes, you can see it a bit better. There's the big bow at the front, self-tied bow, and you can see the little crown shapes as well, and every now and again there's an orange one outlined in orange and the rest are in grey. I'll just point to one so you can get a bit of an idea of it. There it is. Just every now and again there's that orange one. Anyway, my dear friends, I'll just move this a little bit more. That wasn't perfect, was it? I'm quite particular about having things central and not too much things in the background for distraction. So I hope you've enjoyed this video and you've enjoyed seeing my Lottie in her romper and my Bild Lilli doll and hearing about her. I'm sorry if you already knew all that information, but there might be some people who haven't heard that, so I thought it would be worth just telling. Not that I was told it very accurately, did I? But now with Dr. Google and Mr. Google available to us at any time, you guys could look it up and find out the exact dates for yourself. Anyway, everyone, thank you so much for being here and for your lovely comments on my videos. Luckily, I'm up to date with them, so I feel comfortable in myself, because honestly, I feel it's like a funny, I don't know, I'm sure you all have it. Oh, excuse me, my fridge just kicked in then. That's proof that we're in the kitchen. Yeah, I get a funny kind of uncomfortable feeling when I'm not up to date with things. I'm not sure what, it's just kind of like, I can't describe it. I just know that when I'm up to date with my comments or anything really that needs doing, any emails that I need to reply to or housework that needs doing or, whatever, you always get that niggly feeling, oh, that still needs to be done. Anyway, I'm up to date at the moment. So thank you, everybody. It's been lovely to have you here with me, and I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all soon. So in the meantime, everyone, take care and be kind to each other. Bye-bye.